Hello, my name's Duncan, and welcome to Bath Books and Back Away from the Donkey. And today is another one of what short stories have you been reading? Well, I've been dipping into my dinosaur collection. This is one I picked up a few. I had a batch of books I picked up from eBay, and this was one of them. And this was Dinosaurs, collection of dinosaur stories, short stories, edited by Gardner Bozois or Boisois? Dozois. I can't remember the name, but well known as an editor. And it's got various ones, and I may dip into that over the next few weeks. And the first one is a story that I picked out from James Tiptree Jr. and it is The Night of the Blooming Saurian. And if you didn't know, James Tiptree Jr. was the actual pseudonym for a psychologist called Alice Sheldon. And Alice Sheldon, she started writing science fiction properly in about 1967, I think, off the top of my head. And she used the pseudonym partly for not to affect a sort of professional representation, but also just she didn't like being the first in the field, I think is what I've read somewhere. So this pseudonym was kept secret till 1977-78, I think it was eventually found out. But famously in a collection of her short stories, which I've actually got on order now because I've just read this one, I want to read more, Robert Silverberg wrote an introduction, and in that introduction he assured us that this pseudonym was definitely the pseudonym of a man.
Inflamed by Tiptree's obstinate insistence on personal obscurity, science fictionists have indulged themselves in the wildest sort of speculation about him. His real name, it is often said, is something other than Tiptree, though no one knows what it might be. That Tiptree is a pseudonym is plausible enough, but I rather hope it isn't so. I like the name and want it to belong by birthright to the man who uses it on these stories. It has been suggested that Tiptree is female, a theory that I find absurd, for there is to me something ineluctably masculine about Tiptree's writing. I don't think the novels of Jane Austen could have been written by a man, nor the stories of Ernest Hemingway by a woman. And in the same way, I believe the author of the James Tiptree stories is male.
So after that, when Silverberg found out that who she was, he was quite fine with it. He said, you didn't fool me, I fooled myself. I've got, on my blog, I've got a full, because this thing is quite a long piece, that paragraph is a paragraph that's quoted everywhere, and it's sort of a stick to beat Robert Silverberg with. But if you read the whole of the introduction, it's quite interesting because he's actually bigging up her writing and about how good she is. So I've copied that and I've got it up on my blog, and I'll put a link down below for you if you're interested in reading it. And yeah, I think you should go and read it. And there's also, while you're there, there's a link to this story, because this story was published originally in The Worlds of If in 1970, I think it was May. Anyway, there's a link to it in the Internet Archive so you can actually read the story. Okay, on to this story. This story is like the subgenre of hunting dinosaurs, people are idiots, and people are just idiots. Unlike, something like Bradbury's The Sound of Thunder, there's no time paradoxes that are going to change humanity forever. But this is basically a time travel dinosaur story, and it's quite a little amusing one. I've said this is probably the first of her work that I've ever read, unless I've read the other an old short story together. As I said, on order, I've got the collection Warm Worlds, which is what the essay comes from, and this story is actually in, because I'm quite intrigued, because this was a very enjoyable story. So, yeah, the story is basically, there's a group of archaeologists travel back in time and are studying in the Rift Valley the origins of humanity. And as with all science endeavours, this funding is an issue. This is told by the viewpoint of, it's like an amusing story, a sort of anecdote. So basically we have funding's coming to an end and they don't know what to do, but then one of the members has access via some cousin and some sort to one of the senators whose decision will enable this funding. And what they find out is that the only way to get this funding is this senator wants to hunt a dinosaur, most specifically a Brontosaurus. I don't know why they picked the Brontosaurus, because the Brontosaurus, apart being huge, is actually a vegetarian. But yes, to hunt a Brontosaur. The problem is that they are about sort of millions of years out, because they are studying the origins of humanity, and they are nowhere near the Triassic period, so there is no dinosaurs. So basically, the whole story is around them setting up a ruse to try and make this senator think that they have hunted a dinosaur. And in an almost weirder little sub-genre, you have the dinosaur poo sub-genre, and basically they realise that if they want to fake this, they need to get some poo around.
Now for the trails, said Fitz. He unfolded a gory fin like a sailfish plate. They mark up the trees with this, and they make a nest of wet reeds. Our swampy bit there is just right. There's one thing, though. He scratched mud off his chest hair, squinting at Jean McGregor. The trails, he said, it's not just footprints. They eat a lot, and have you ever seen a moose run? Those trails are loaded with manure. There was pause that grew into a silence.
I'm not sure on the logistics of actually getting enough poo to represent a Brontosaurus. I've not done the maths. I don't know it, but I said, unlike something like Bradbury's Sound of Thunder or other similar stories, there's no time paradoxes, nobody gets eaten. It's just quite an amusing sort of anecdote. It's well written. I like her prose. Prose is really nice, and I'm really fascinated by her life, because Alice Sheldon was, if you look, she was born in 1924. She served in the war, studying aerial photographs from things. She was recruited by the CIA. People like this make you tired, and you think, what have I done with my life when she managed to do all this? There is actually a autobiography out there, which I'm quite intrigued to get at some point. But yes, back to the story. The story is not earth-shattering, but it's very entertaining, well written, and I think hopefully it's a good introduction to her work. And I said, no weirdly paradoxes, and it's quite amusing, and I think you should just go off and read it. I said there's a link down below, and I will hopefully do another short story with you very soon. And I said, anybody else got more experience with reading James Tiptree? I'd be quite intrigued, because I know there's a couple of novels that she did, and a collection of short stories. Sadly, she died in 85, 86, so she was only really writing science fiction for about 15 years. But anyway, I will speak to you all very soon, and thank you for watching.